Well, after ending quarantine yesterday, Pierre-Luc Dubois was on the ice today, practicing with his new team for the very first time. He skated on Saturday on his own and then met with head coach Paul Maurice, but today he got acquainted with his new Jets teammates. Sara Orlesky has more.
Balance was a word that Paul Maurice kept going back to on Sunday, and it's what he hopes describes all four of his lines now, with the addition of Pierre-Luc Dubois, who's set to center a line with Kyle Connor and Trevor Lewis. This was Dubois' second day on the ice, but first practice with the team since getting out of his 2-week quarantine. And the addition of the 22-year-old now gives the Jets depth at center unlike anything they've had before.
Felt good to finally get out there. It's 2 weeks of just working out in your living room keeps you to a certain extent in shape, but there's nothing like skating out there.
We've got four lines that we should be able to play and spread minutes around, and maybe that concept get that solidified in your bench so that run short shifts, run at a high level to prep us for a March to the third week in April that will be the busiest, the most hockey that any of these guys have ever seen.
There's so much center depth in this lineup with all those guys that even if you play on the wing a few games or a few shifts, or you get caught on the wing and one of the wingers is playing in the middle on that shift, I think it really helps the team out when there's so many centermen in the lineup.
The challenge now for the coach is making sure that with these lines, everyone still gets enough minutes.
The first thing I want to get right with the group is getting them to understand there are other good players on the bench, and that will build the team, right? That we're going to put good players on the ice every time you roll a shift over the bench, so you understand to get on and off the ice, and if it's done right, then you can play at a higher level on every shift.
Maurice made it clear that these lines might actually only last for a few games. He wants to take a look at some of the pairings, and it's something that they might leave and eventually come back to later on in their season. When the Jets play the Flames on Tuesday night, Pierre-Luc Dubois will be on that second power play unit where he'll add some more offensive skill to it, with Adam Lowry and Andrew Kopp now set to rotate in. Sara Orlesky, TSN, Winnipeg.
Pierre-Luc, what's this whole experience been like for you through the quarantine, having to watch your team's games on TV, knowing that the players you were traded for are already playing in Columbus? Just how do you sum all that up?
Yeah, it's been, in a way, it's been a slow 2 weeks. I haven't done anything, but in another way, it's been a pretty crazy 2 weeks with all the video and watching the games and getting ready and, meeting guys through text or FaceTime or Zoom and stuff like that. It's been a hectic, but yet slow 2 weeks. But now it's finally over. Finally, I had a team practice today, and I'm just really excited to play that game.
And Pierre-Luc, what was it like to get back on the ice after quarantine, and what was your first impression of skating alongside Kyle Connor?
Yeah, it felt good to finally get out there. It's 2 weeks of just working out in your living room keeps you to a certain extent in shape, but there's nothing like skating out there. And today was a good practice. I felt good out there and skating with Casey and Louis. Two amazing players. Casey's I think one of the best, most underrated players in the NHL, and Louis brings that experience. He's helping me with all the systems and everything. Can pass the puck. He works really hard. So it was really great to be out there with those two.
With the amount of games, I think it was 6 or 7 that you were able to watch and break down the video of, what one or two things really stand out to you about your new hockey club that excite you?
Yeah, well, like I said before, they're one of the teams I hated playing against, and watching the games and watching them play more often, you start to see why. Whether it's the systems or just every guy individually, I think that this team can play every style of game. They can play fast and physical. They can play offense. They can play D. They can bring everything to the table. And I think there's a lot of talent in that, and the forward group, and whoever you're playing with, you're playing with a really amazing players. So I think throughout the lineup, just seeing the depth that they have is something that really impressed me.
What's your take on this team's depth, specifically at the center position, and maybe why that's an important thing in the NHL?
Yeah, I think that, my dad always told me, if you can play every forward position, you're really helping the team out and you're helping the coach out. And making his life easier. And playing center is a tough position, but I think a lot of us can play on the wings, and it could be any line. You can play anywhere in the lineup, and I mean, there's so much, like you said, there's so much center depth in this lineup with all those guys that even if you play on the wing a few games or a few shifts, or you get caught on the wing and one of the wingers is playing in the middle on that shift. I think it really helps the team out when there's so many centermen in the lineup.